You know those times where you're struggling in your relationship and you love each other a lot, but you feel like there's this distance between you, and maybe you've been, together for a long time, but there's just something that's there and you don't know what it is, and you love them, and you might even love them and not even be attracted to them anymore, or you might not respect them at the same level because there's some things that have happened in your relationship and it's creating this distance, right? So I brought in a tool, and I'm going to show you right now on the screen, called the relationship triangle, where you're going to see this is a tool that my wife and I, we have used, that's really helped us to get clarity, get a vision, understand like our roles, our positions. So I'm going to share with you how my wife and I, how we operate, how we function in our lives, with our relationship with God, with our relationship with kids, with each other, with our multiple businesses, with over 500 employees. There's a lot of things, a lot of pressure, a lot of stress that we deal with, and this tool right here has really helped us to keep the main things, right? And you'll see right here that this is a very deep tool. There's a lot of different aspects to it, but I'm gonna make it very practical and very simple for you, okay? So I'm gonna show you right now in a marriage relationship, in a love and marriage relationship, there are different needs on different sides, right? We have two people coming from two different places, two different backgrounds, two different belief systems, two different experiences to come together to make one. Of course, that's gonna create some conflict, right? Like, relationships are not easy. I mean, this, especially a marriage where this is the most vulnerable, closest relationship that you can possibly be in, which is why it's also the relationship what you can get most hurt in, because you're more vulnerable. It's more intimacy. Intimacy is into me, you see. When I let you see into me and you let me see into you, and there is some acceptance that's created here, there is a bonding and love that's born here, right? So I'm going to show you this tool right here. And I hope you guys can take a screenshot here, even take some notes, because it's game changing. Okay, this tool has really brought so much clarity, understanding, power and confidence to the relationship for my wife and I. So let me show you, and I'm going to draw on my board here so you guys can see on what this is. Okay, so as you can see on the top, what do we have? We have God and our common goals and purpose, right? So you have him and her in the corner here, and as you both have a vision that's going forward, if you both focus on that, you see how it brings you both closer together as you're going up. Do you see that? So you're both right here in the corners, right? And he has his own needs, he has his own personality, he has his own goals, and then so does she, right? And they both need to keep their own identity and their own being their own individuals that have their own goals, their own personalities, their own vision, their own their own likes, dislikes. Like, they're their own people. God created them uniquely and perfectly, right? So it's not about trying to conform each other to be like each other. We have to understand that, look, we all have different needs. Right. So we all have our different identity as the wife and the husband, or we all want acceptance. We all have a different purpose. We all have, the man's needs versus the women's needs are very different. I teach that the women have three needs, the men have these three main needs, and we have to understand that they're very different, so that way we can meet each other, right? We also have our own different personalities. So all these things make us very unique. Right? All these things here make us very unique, but it creates this gap between us. You see that thing in the middle? So there's a gap. We're totally different here, right? So if we have this understanding, I need to be whole, not 50-50, not like, oh, there's my other half, there's my better half. That's putting yourself down and them down. Like, they're not a half and you're not a half, you're a whole. And to be honest, even though like you're a whole person, sometimes in a relationship, haven't you noticed that sometimes, like, on some days you're not a 50%, maybe you're at a 10 freaking percent, you're at 10% because you're drained, you're burned out, you're tired, you're having a hard time, right? And then your partner, maybe they have to like kind of step in and fill in that gap there, and you're at 10%, maybe they need to step it up and be 90% for a little season because you're struggling with something. And then you start to step it up, and then like you start to go up, and then maybe they like, this is relationship. You have to be able to step in and fill the gap sometimes, but at the end of it, we need to be fully responsible for ourselves, fill ourselves up, right? Like, build ourselves. So there is this gap that we need to maintain. So what is this gap that we need to know that is there? So look, we have mission and vision, core values. So we have to have our mission, vision, core values for ourselves, but we need to have one that's shared as a couple, as a marriage. So what is our marriage vision, core values? What is our mission as a married couple? Right? So that way we understand, like in this relationship, okay, I know what her needs are, what her wants are, what her goals are, her personality is, right? I understand like all these things that she needs. And then I communicated mine and she understands me, right? So then now with that, we have our own individual ones, but now we need to come and talk and say, okay, what are our common goals? What are our mission and vision as a family, as a marriage? And not only that, we need to make sure that we keep this gap closed or close by making sure we are communicating in these 7 dimensions, these 7 areas. So we have to make sure that we're communicating spiritually. We need to connect. These are 7 different areas to connect in our marriage relationship. So look at right here on top. We have our spiritual dimension above everything else, right? So this is us connecting, communicating on purpose, with purpose, consistently in that area. Okay, like me sharing my faith, my relationship with God, good and bad, but connecting and sharing about the spiritual stuff, right? So you figuring out what that looks like for you. And yes, I know that a lot of times in relationships, you have 2 different people that have different backgrounds, different even faith, different religions even, right? Okay. We'll come together and figure out what are you going to agree on together. And it's not about, well, my family did this and this is how I grew up. Well, this is how I grew up. It's not about, it's how are you going to create it now? Where is it going to go from here? That's what you need to talk and communicate on. So that's just one area. That's the top area, spiritually, right? Next is intellectually. So look, spiritually, intellectually, emotionally. Think of like your abs as physically. Then you got sexually. Think of your legs as, oh, I'm gonna go be socially. And then think of your shoes, your boots as like something financial that you're gonna go buy. So it's just, it's an illustration to remember the 7, how many? The 7 areas to connect and create communication in your relationship. So that way it's healthy and functional. So you wanna communicate where? Spiritually, intellectually. This means thoughts, facts, ideas. You're communicating on a superficial level as a relationship, right? How was your day? How was work? Okay, good. But you want to be able to get deeper than that. Not just talk superficial thoughts, facts, and ideas. You want to go more emotional. Okay, these are fears, passion, goals, things that get you excited. Now you're talking about those things that move us both emotionally and sharing openly and listening. Not just like, oh, let me share my stuff now. You're listening to understand, not listening to repeat, right? So that's, okay, we got spiritual, intellectual, emotional. What's next? Physical, sexual, social, financial. So think of physical. So this is physical touch, physical attraction, physical activities, right? So physical touch is affection. That's something really important that we need to stay consistent in our relationship. And physical touch, men, doesn't just mean sex. I know we're like, yeah, physical touch. It can meet that too, right? It can lead there. But for women, physical touch is not just sex. Affection doesn't mean just sex. Okay, affection is like, it could lead that way, men, if you do it right. But come on, we got to redefine this. Okay, so we got spiritual, intellectual, emotional, physical. Talking, you're doing physical activities together. You're keeping yourself physically attractive for one another, and there's physical touch. Right? And then what's the next one? Drop it down. Physical, the abs. Now we go a little bit lower. Now the sexual dimension, right? This is another area that there needs to be consistent communication and agreement in. And any of these areas, look, these 7 right here, you can actually do like, I do this with my clients where I'll do an exercise with them and I'll have them rate themselves. Let me change the color here. I'll have them rate themselves on this, on a scale of 1 to 10, on how fulfilled they feel on both sides. So for an example, I'll go to the wife. Okay, wife, how fulfilled on a scale of 1 to 10 do you feel spiritually? Right? Like how connected do you feel spiritually? Or how, on a scale of 1 to 10, how connected and fulfilled and satisfied do you feel intellectually? And I start doing that with each one, right? And they'll give me numbers, 1 to 10. And then all of a sudden you can start to see, oh, this is where they're low, okay? Or this is where they need more connection. And now you can see where in these 7 areas of communication and connection where it's weak. So now they can be more intentional and create more intentional connection and communication in those areas to start to create more health in your relationship. See, when you're like right now, I'm on this computer right here, right? If I disconnect it, what happens? If I have all these things plugged in, I'm using it, the battery starts to drop, which is normal, right? Now, what happens if I keep running it all day and keep doing things, keep putting it to work, keep stressing it out, keep having it do things, and without plugging it in? It's going to die down, right? First, it's going to start to malfunction and mess things up. I can lose memory. I can lose stuff because it just shuts off and I didn't shut off right? Right. So what do I need to do? Relationships is the same way. Look, if you're not connected in these 7 areas consistently, it's like not having your battery charger in, and it starts to like lower and starts to not function properly. So when you start to connect consistently in these 7 areas, on purpose, with purpose, and really, intentionally do it. It's like you plugging in that relationship again to power it up. See, this is where all problems, issues, cheating, separating, fighting, all these things come from lack of connection in your relationship. So all the issues that we deal with, the problems, those are not the problems. That's a symptom that there's no connection in your relationship. So when this gap here gets really big, right? Because we're not being clear on these things for ourselves and not feeding ourselves here, that gap gets huge and now our relationship gets ruined. So we have to, know who we are individually, not be halves of each, be whole. Know your identity, accept who you are, have a purpose apart from your family, apart from your business, apart from your career, apart from your kids. You need to have your own identity and purpose, right? You have to understand your personality, your needs, but also understand the ones of your partners, right? So think about this, guys. So when you are paying attention to these things here, all this right here, and you start to pour into these areas, it will change your life. And now look, if you have these goals up here, and now you're focusing on loving each other this way as you're focused on a common goal. You're on God, on your common vision, and you're meeting each other's needs. The foundation's going to be strong, and you're going to be moving closer to God and your common goals, and it brings you closer automatically rather than looking at each other like this and being like, well, you meet my needs and I'll meet yours. And like, well, you do it first. And then, yeah, I'll do it if you do it. Of course, I'm all in. If you're all in, are you all in? And then it's like this. Like, no, you first. Like, but if we just get out of that and focus, like, okay, you know what? I know who I am. I know my purpose. I know I don't even need your love. I want to love you. I am overflowing with love. And then their purpose is to also overflow with love and not need my love. Right? So that way, what I give is like, it's blessing and vice versa, rather than I need, love me. No. Come on. We need to have our own identity, acceptance, and purpose, have our own vision, have our own peace in our heart. Then we need to protect it right here and have a goal where we're going towards each other right here. We're going up towards the goal, towards God, our common thing. And this is where we don't allow these relationship destroyers to come in, because we're protecting it by having this vision and clarity of our relationship. Are you following? This is so good. Like, I know for my wife and I, this has really changed our lives to just this visual right here. And of course, it's not just a visual, right? Because I have teachings that go deep into each of these areas. Like, okay, just with identity. Just identity. Man, I talk to a lot of high performers that are very successful, and you'll be surprised on how they're not really clear on who they are. And they have multi-million-dollar businesses, and they're doubting themselves. They're doubting their abilities, their capabilities. They don't feel like they're enough. Because a lot of times they're very successful in one area and they're falling apart in another. For an example, I have a lot of business owners that are falling apart in their marriage. And a lot of these people, they come to me. They hire me to build their business. That's what I do. I was trying to find some other books here. I have, the mindset, sales system, marketing. So these business owners, they hire me to scale their business. Just listen to this. They hire me, pay me money to build their business, to double, triple their business in sales, in their call center, the market, whatever it is, right? This always happens. I sit down and I want to get to know the business owner, right? Because the business owner, a lot of times, is the bottleneck, the ceiling, the cap to the business overall. And they hire me to build their business. So first I need to work with the business owner. And most of the time, they are very successful in their business. So their business is going, like, they don't need me need me. They have success there, but they want me to come in to double, triple it, but they're very stressed out, right? So they come, and yes, I help them with all those things, but every time we find out that their marriage is suffering. Not only their marriage, but you know what else is suffering? Their health. Every time. So now I get to go into those things and help them in these areas, not just in the business, because man, I can help them in the business all I want, and they can grow, it can double, it can triple, and this has happened. Now that creates more stress for this couple, for this family, for this business owner, because they were barely able to do it before. They were burning out, and now they hire me. Now I bring more business in. Now it's like, oh, right? Like, So I need to build the business owner first, help them have peace in their heart, have a stronger mindset, have these things clear for themselves, and then build a team around them that is strong the same way. Now we're talking. Now you can win in your business, make a lot of money, and still go home and not give them your leftover low quality energy to the people that you love the most, right? Like you can go home like refreshed and energized to bring something good to your people that you love the most. But this is not happening with so many good people that love their family. They're going home burned out and tired and giving them their leftovers, low quality energy. They're not present. They're stressed out. And it's not because they're evil. It's not because they don't love their family. It's because they don't have clarity on who they are not. They don't have clarity on a mission and a vision. They don't have clarity on where and how to connect with the people that they love. So it's too much weight, and it stresses people out. And this is why a lot of successful business owners, they get very sick and their relationships fall apart, and they wait for a freaking crisis to make a change. Don't wait for a crisis to make a change. Get an understanding of, you know what? Who am I? Who am I? Who am I in myself, apart from my partner, apart from my kids, apart from my career? Who am I? What's my strengths, my weaknesses, my talents? You know, all these things. That way I can fully accept who I am. That way I don't need acceptance from other people. That way I don't get rejected and so sensitive from other people, because I fully, accept myself. You understanding? What is my purpose? So you don't want to have like your purpose that's connected only to your kids, because when your kids get older and they leave, this is where a lot of people, they get depressed and like, who am I now, right? Like you don't want your purpose to be connected to your career, because if your career and that something happens there, now it's like, who am I? That's not your identity. You have to know these things apart from your partner, from your kids, from your career. Who are you apart from all those things, right? That's when you know that your identity here, your acceptance, your purpose, this makes you powerful. It makes you powerful. Now you get to know your wives or your partners and understand theirs, so you have more understanding towards one another. You come up with a goal together, right? And then boom, you have God up on top, your purpose, your common goals, and then of course you just work your way up to the top here towards God. Come on now. Yes? So look, let me leave you with this, right? I want to really encourage you to do the work. Sit down somewhere, block yourself for an hour, and do an exercise. Make a list of your strengths, of your weaknesses, so you can really understand clearly who you are. Right? Like, who are you? Good and bad. Do a list of your strengths and your weaknesses, and do a list of your beliefs and your values, and really be clear there, because once you have all that like really written down and thought through, only then can you accept yourself. Because how can you really accept something you're not fully aware of? How can you fully accept something that you're not fully aware of? So you have to get some awareness, some self-awareness of the good and the bad, the strengths, the values, the beliefs, the moral, like all these things, like who am I? What makes me me? And I'm gonna put all that written down, the good and the bad, and like, okay, that's me. I'm gonna fully accept myself. Now I don't need the acceptance of other people. And now other people can't reject me, because how can they take away something they never gave me? I gave that, I received with God first, and have this acceptance. Like I don't need it from other people now. You know how powerful this makes you? So once you have that clear, and you know what your needs are, you know what your personality is, so you're not trying to be like anybody else, and you know your needs, so you're able to fulfill and meet your own needs. You're not waiting for your kids or your partner or your boss or your team to meet your needs. This is where people start doing really stupid things, because all those people and those things are not going to meet your needs like consistently. So if you expect it, you're going to get disappointed very often, right? So you have to be like whole by yourself and not need from other people. And when they do give you love, when they do give you encouragement, when they do give you those things, it's like, thank you. Like, I'll take it all day. But if I don't get it, it's not going to move me. It's not going to mess up my day. This is where your day is not determined by what other people are doing or not doing when you get clear on these things for yourself. See, get that clear for yourself, guys. Please do the work. Sit down, get to know who you are, good and the bad, know your personalities. Now, if you guys want help with this, I have a relationship quiz, okay? It's a relationship assessment, and it takes like a minute. It's like 8 questions, and it's been blowing people away, because they're like, what the heck? This is kind of creepy. It feels like you guys wrote it exactly for me. How do you know that these are my strengths? How do you know these are my weaknesses? How do you know that I act like this? This is crazy. So it's giving people a lot of clarity on their strengths and their own weaknesses, on their identity. How can you fully accept something you're not fully aware of? So this assessment, this relationship assessment, is going to give you that clarity. So I'm going to put it into the description down here. There's going to be a quiz. You can just click it. Takes you to a form. You do 8 questions. This is free, right? And then it's going to give you all this information on you, on your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities when it comes to your relationship, to your marriage. And this already, because nothing can change until you tell yourself the truth, right? So this is going to bring truth in your life, and the truth is going to set you free. So please do it. Take the quiz. Give me your feedback. And make sure you guys subscribe and like and do all the stuff, because I have a lot of value on these pages. I talk about marriages. I talk about things that people don't normally talk about. The differences between men and women, and how if we don't understand it, it just creates this conflict, and we can avoid it. We can avoid a lot of it and have some really good relationships, guys. You just got to learn how. All right, so go check out my other videos. The short forms are really good too. Those are taking off. The long form ones, I'm just starting to post more of those. So go check them out. Comment, like, so that way the algorithm can start to take off. Help me to share these things, guys. Bless you guys. I'm going to do a little prayer, and then we'll close here. So God, I pray for this people that are watching this. Help them to understand who they are, their mission, their vision, their goals. Help them to understand what they are called to do. Help them to understand their own needs, their values, their personality, so that way they can walk in confidence and in power and who they're called to be, so they can have a life that they were created for. So we thank you. Bless you guys. Johnny, thank you, man. Bless you. Thanks for jumping on. I'm going to be doing this more often. I have a lot of posts. I post at least 2 long form videos every week. So go check them out, guys. Bless you guys.